Welcome to the stream, everybody.
Hey all, greetings my fellow adventurers. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are.
Welcome to the stream,
And welcome to our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, The Veil of Tyranny, which takes place within our setting, the Age of Grate. Just to sort of introduce everybody, we're on like the virtual table. Just introduce ourselves. I can start. My name is Gus, and I'm the producer of DMing this evening. So maybe let's go around the table and tell people our names and our characters' names and just like raising class, the usual stuff. So who wants to kick us off? Jeff this evening. So maybe let's go around the table and tell
game developer, and I'm playing as Breaker, a tiefling barbarian.
Oh, good. Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm playing a dare. He's a druid, dwarf. Hi, I'm Kelly.
My name's Dylan, and I'm playing Elias Silvermane, an elven rogue, arcane trickster.
Hi, my name's Rob. I'm playing a human warlock named Aquilus Ewing.
Awesome. And we've also got a non-player character in the party called Tanog, who is a half-orc cleric. Before we start, I just want to say like a massive thanks to non-player for being here, and a super big thanks to Jeff, who's been our AV guy and he's done like all the graphics and stuff, and like all the cool transitions and stuff. So massive big thanks to him, which has been great. I suppose before we start, we did this in our first stream, so I think we should do it again in terms of deciding on roles and just kind of reminding people. So we have 4 roles that we like to sort of decide on before we start playing. 4 roles are the Vault Master, that's the person who tracks the sort of shared party wealth, pays the bills. We have the Quartermaster, who tracks the sort of supplies and gear for the party. The Beast Master, who tracks kills and trophies. And then we've got the Journey Master, who keeps the adventure log and does any mapping that needs to get done. So you wanna who is doing what are we deciding? We've got the Journey Master.
I'm the rogue, so I'm the Vault Master.
Makes sense. The most trustworthy person. So Yuri is the quartermaster, so he takes care of tracking any items we find and any equipment we have. The most trustworthy.
Leaves me with mapping.
And then who's the Beast Master again? Was that Elias?
Wasn't it the druid?
Wait, isn't the Beastmaster just about keeping trophies?
Yeah, I think that's the same as...
Okay, I think Breaker would be pretty good at that.
Wasn't it the druid? That is true.
Isn't the Beastmaster just about keeping
Does everything
Yeah,
easy,
that
cuts pieces of
seems
things off.
appropriate.
I think Breaker would be pretty good at that.
Cool, so that's the roles decided on. I suppose there's no like additional rules or anything to go through this time like we did last time. So one of the things I'd like to do is perhaps just ask you guys like what happened in our previous session according to your characters. So like according to Breaker, Adair, Yui and Elias, what happened? Perhaps just ask you guys like what happened in our previous session according to your characters. So like according to Breaker, Adair,
Go Breaker.
Yui and Elias.
I think according to Breaker, he just made it through a barrier, just one step closer to finding where he needs to be. I think meeting Adair and Huey actually had no impact on him. They're just around a barrier, one step closer. The impatience seeps out the imp. Meeting Adair and Huey actually had no impact on him.
From there, got thrown down a well, got vomited on, almost got taken over by a worm thing, got beaten up by other creatures, met some untrustworthy looking people.
I'm very trustworthy.
Yeah, just trying to get out of this place. I'm still in a little bit of a rough condition, but has a sword now. I'm trying to get out of this. I'm still
Bonus.
Druids know how to
nothing
use.
else. I know. Has a sword now.
And what about Elias and Yui? How do you guys recall the previous events?
I think we came to the rescue of a couple people who we might share enemies with. So Elias thinks that they might be of some use, and he's glad to have some potential allies in this place, because in the session before he and Breaker got beat up quite badly.
Guys, I think we just need take a quick break. I'm having some technical difficulties. Apparently, there's some really bad audio feedback coming
Oh,
through.
really?
Yeah. Give me 1 sec.
Sure, man, sure.
Break.
I'd also suggest everyone go and turn off the broadcasting in Roll20.
Yeah.
If you click on the gear icon and you go into the settings, scroll down to the bottom, and then there's two options. There's I want to broadcast to others, and I want to receive from others. And just make those both nothing.
Yeah.
Disables them. Scroll down to the bottom.
Yeah, good shot.
And then there's two options. Yeah, Roll20 has closed options, and I want to receive from others. And just make those both.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Is there any feedback with that?
Hello, hello.
They're saying it's much better now.
Roll20. Piece of shit.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Is there any feedback with 1, 2, 3?
Hello.
They're all
Oh, yeah,
20.
like, how else would they know? They're saying
Can
it's
I
much
say
better
piece
now.
of shit?
They're saying it's much better.
That's
I swore so much in the last round, so hopefully.
They're all
There's
a piece of shit. It's really irritating. I had like I said today, I've been working with it, like trying to upload stuff, and it's just it's such a pain. Like there's the upload limits, and there's like it runs out of space, and I've been working with it, like trying to upload stuff. Irritating. So what do you reckon? Should we? So the audio feedback thing is like okay now, right? It runs out of space.
I think so, yeah. That's the feedback.
So cool. That's the feedback you got. No pun intended. So should we start again? Should I just kick this off again, like do the pre-session stuff, just because I don't think right? So
It's still delayed. And then just everyone may listen.
I think it's going to be delayed like that. So should we start again? Should I just kick this off again, like do the pre-session stuff, just because I don't think
One of my friends said, like all of you are talking at once.
Oh my gosh.
That's, I don't know.
Thanks, Twitch.
One of my friends said, like
Well, so everybody's done the broadcast to others thing, which is disabled, right?
Yes, although it still has a little icon.
I know what is happening. Is it fixed
Oh.
now?
So
was
it was
happening?
delayed, but now it's coming back or something.
No, I know what happened.
What was it?
Is it? Rob, can you check if it's fixed? If one of your friends?
no, it's fixed. They're saying.
Okay, I know what is happening.
I know that, man. You were the problem.
Yeah, so when you stream, don't run your stream on the computer you're streaming from, because I wanted to see if we looked good. But
Yeah.
then I'm also capturing my desktop audio, and I was watching YouTube and Twitch, and so it was feeding back.
So, but then what's the best way to monitor that? Like,
Probably
Just
from another
don't do it.
computer or something. Yeah, just don't do it.
just don't bother. Right. So
Okay,
do we want to? Should we kick this thing off again from scratch? Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start with the welcome. So, greetings, fellow adventurers. Obviously, I hope you're all having a fantastic day wherever you are, and welcome to our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, The Veil of Tyranny. And this takes place within a custom setting, homebrew setting called the Age of Hiraeth. Just to sort of introduce people, let's go around the virtual tabletop and say hello. I will start. My name is Gus, and I have the privilege of DMing this evening. So maybe go around and sort of tell people our names, our characters' names, so their race and class. And should we kick it off with Mr. Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff, and I play as Breaker in real life and in role playing. It seems break streams. Breaker is a tiefling barbarian, an urban barbarian. In fact. Go Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I play Evelyn Adair, prefers Adair. She is a druid dwarf. Yeah. Rob?
Yeah, so my name is Rob. I play a human warlock called Aquilus Huey. Oh, did we lose Dylan? No, there he is.
There he is.
Yeah.
Perfect. My name is Dylan, and I'm playing Elias Silvermane, the dashing elven rogue arcane trickster. Smack
Mane.
every corner.
Trimmed mane.
Yeah, it's trimmed beard, this version. Yeah, before we kick this thing off, I just want to say like a massive thanks, obviously, to everybody being here, but especially big thanks to the guy on my screen that's in the bottom right with the fancy colors and stuff, Mr. Jeff. He's been doing all of our audio, video stuff and like the graphics and the transitions and all that. So massive thanks to him. I think it looks really good.
Thanks.
So yeah, so massive.
Even though I missed it, but yeah.
Okay, it's all good, man. It's all good. Like second time streaming, right? So, one of the things that we like to do, we did this on the first stream, is to sort of decide on our roles. We've got 4 roles which we like to assign to players, and those are the Vault Master, who is responsible for tracking the sort of shared party wealth and paying the bills. There is the Quartermaster, who tracks the shared party supplies and gear. There is the Beast Master, who tracks the party kills and trophies. And finally, there is the Journey Master, who keeps the adventure log and does any sort of mapping that's required. So what did you guys decide for that? Who would like to do what?
I'm doing the Journey Master. Or I am the Journey Master, whatever.
Yeah, and so Yu is doing the quartermaster. So he's looking after or tracking the party's any items that we find and any equipment that we have as well.
As the party rogue, I believe Elias is the most qualified to be the Vault Master. I'll carry that heavy burden.
Every time.
Very, very trustworthy.
Breaker will be the Beastmaster, keeper of the trinkets.
Perfect. Can't see if you like cut pieces of other player characters. So awesome. Just for a quick recap, like I wanted to ask you guys, like, what happened according to your characters in the previous session? So according to Breaker, Adair, Yui, and Elias, what actually happened? What went on in the last session? Just to do a recap.
Breaker's pressing on in search of the imp who insulted him. He met a couple characters, but was nonplussed by their appearance.
Adair was thrown down a well, puked on, almost taken over by a gross worm thing, and met some untrustworthy players. So she's having a great time.
So Yui had quite the traumatizing day. So he was arrested by some silver masked guards, and they told him that that Valerius sends his regards. So Valerius was a good friend of Yui's. So there's apparently been some betrayal. He was then stripped of his equipment and thrown down the same sewer as Adair, where he then met up with Breaker and Elias, and has been trying to find his way out since then.
And Elias is glad that the party managed to get to Yui and Adair in time, and he thinks that if there's a chance that they have the same enemies, that these two might make good allies, and he's grateful to have the help in the sewers, which have not been kind to Breaker and Elias.
Awesome. Sounds good. So, you're currently in the sewers below the city of Repertum. The concerns and intrigue of the city above now seem distant. You're standing in a circular room in the sewers. There is a dim light that shines through from the surface, through a metal grate high above. Against the far wall is an old wooden table, littered with burnt-out candles. Lying on the floor is a skeletal corpse. Its desiccated hand, now pried open, lies next to its body. The left leg is absent, a wooden peg in its place. As your adrenaline begins to wear off and you regain your senses, the smell and oppressiveness of this place begins to take hold. Walls slick with slime, floor coated with effluent and a faint miasma swirls around you. Can everybody roll me Constitution saves, please?
That's not my strong suit. Hey, 18.
8 for Yui.
6 for Breaker.
Breaker, what's going on?
So, Aquilus, Yui, and Breaker, why don't you tell me what happens?
So I think for Yui, so as you said, once the adrenaline has worn off, sort of the stench and the oppressiveness of the sewer sort of takes over him, and he doesn't throw up, but he sort of dry heaves. He sort of tries to wipe some of the muck and like clean the detritus and the dirt off himself.
Breaker struggles to breathe. Collapses to his knees.
So, Adair and Yui, you two, or all of you, I don't know, what sort of state are you in at the moment? Are you injured? Have you been hurt?
Adair is looking a little rough.
So Yui was very rough, but Adair managed to patch him up quite substantially. So Yui is actually doing quite well.
So, you found some items in this room, correct, in the last session?
Mm-hmm.
So talk us through that.
I believe we witnessed Breaker tossing a coin to Elias, and I picked up a sword and I think it was a trident, and I tossed the trident to Yui after he had asked for it. I think that's all that we know of by the time we got there, but Breaker was in the room before us.
Breaker found a small fertility statue on the table and quickly pocketed it.
Okay, so you nicked that small stone statue that was on the table, right? So Adair, you said you picked up a sword, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Don't curse it.
can you, Yui, can you roll me an Arcana, please?
Yep.
Who else is gifted in the ways of magic? Adair, is your character quite? I mean, your class is a
more
druid,
in
right?
nature, but yeah.
Breaker knows a few things about Arcana.
Seriously?
Okay,
About
give me a roll.
About Arcana?
Give me a roll.
I was telling you about magic. Don't you remember?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So Yui rolled a 30.
Fantastic. Anybody else rolling? Is Elias rolling as well? Did he say or not?
Elias
Well.
is not comfortable with the idea of magic. He did not study this or learn it, so he doesn't know anything about it.
So, Yui and Adair, you think these items that you found, you're not 100% sure, but you think that there's something certainly unusual about them. They don't seem quite normal. There's some sort of like rippling energy that you're getting a sense of with these items that you found in this room.
Is it positive or negative?
So can Yui actually ask Adair if he can have the sword and trident? He would like to investigate them for magical properties.
Just ask.
Right now?
Yes.
Are you
Yeah,
going
right now.
Sure, go for it.
So Yui says that I might have a spell that could help us identify these items to understand their properties.
I do too, though. I can also detect magic. So I will do the same thing on mine.
So you're gonna try and identify the sword, right, Adair, and then you're gonna try and identify this trident. Is that correct?
The
yeah.
magic that we sense on them, not what they're.
Okay, so talk me through that. What do you need to do?
So.
Is that a spell that you're casting?
Yes.
Magic?
So I just want to quickly. I'm going to cast a spell to detect magic. Actually, then again, I don't actually care. I mean, I'm probably not going to use this thing. I'll find out later, to be honest. Yui, if you're that interested, do you want to try and cast it on both of them at the same time? I will roll.
Is identify a cantrip?
I can give you some guidance. I literally can cast a cantrip for you. No, it's a proper spell. That's why I'm not inclined to do it right now.
Yeah, level 1
So actually, I
divination.
have. Yeah, so I've got a question, I guess, for the DM. So to what extent do we require materials for spells? Like,
you require materials as per the definition of the spell. So if a spell says you require materials, you will require materials. So I suppose for detect magic, it requires visual and somatic, and that's all, right? It's a level 1 divination.
It requires a pearl with 100 gold pieces.
yeah, so I have identified that requires a pearl, an owl feather as well.
It's actually something that you want to cast as a ritual, I think.
Yeah, I can't because I don't have the materials.
the
I can cast it without that. Is that according to mine? Mine is just visual and I don't know what the S stands for.
Yeah, because there's detect magic, which is a level 1 divination ritual spell, right? Components are visual and somatic, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So I'm assuming you've got a different spell to that, right, Yui?
Yes, I have identify. Where I can identify the magical properties of one item and then how to use them as well. So, for example, if it was a magical sword, then I would be able to wield that sword afterwards, right? Or I would be able to impart to others exactly what that is.
Yeah, you get more of an accurate sense exactly what this particular thing is, right? Whereas detect magic is just detecting. I'll give you more information if you use detect magic, but it wouldn't be as detailed as identify, right?
Yeah, and mine is more like within 30 feet of myself, I can detect all magic. So if there were anything in the room itself, then I would also know.
Sure. Yeah, well, tell me if you'd like to use that, and I'll give you the information.
No.
Okay.
I don't care.
So just for clarity, how many spells can you cast? So you basically don't want to waste a level 1 spell at this time. You're saying, right?
Yeah, I think I'm more inclined to try and patch myself up.
Okay. So what would you like to do? So would you like to rest and patch yourself up here, or would you rather try and get out of this place first?
I think I'm inclined to try and get out of here first. Which is probably not the best.
Tanag's got some healing if you need.
Sure, if you if you're willing, I could use some.
Breaker would like to investigate the room for any sort of clues, like physical clues. Look under the table, push over the corpse, just kind of look for any loose rocks or anything like that.
Sure. I suppose give me an investigation. I think is probably the most appropriate skill.
19.
Okay. So, because you rolled very well, so Breaker, you're kind of rooting around this room. Initially, you don't notice anything out of the ordinary. I mean, you saw what you saw when you walked in. You know, the burnt-out candles. You pocketed that what you think is a fertility statue. There was that strange-looking trident leaning up against the table. There was this desiccated corpse clutching this, the sword, which Adair's now taken, and of course the beard, which you thought was a little bit odd. So you're kind of rooting around the room. And at least initially you're like, well, there's nothing particularly obvious. But near to the entrance of the room, there is a loose stone that's inset into the wall, right down at the bottom. So near the entrance, right down at the bottom, inside of this circular room. So there is a loose stone there, and you kind of wiggle it and take it out of the wall. It sort of slides out. Once you notice it, it's quite obvious. And you find what looks like a medallion. You want to just jump over to roll 20 really quickly, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. It looks like this.
It's a hunter's mark.
Pretty.
I think that's a fleur-de-lis.
I believe so, yes. That is the symbol of the hunters.
Breaker pockets it and pulls out his pipe.
Does Breaker do it sneakily?
Yes.
Okay. So the rest of you, so you see Breaker, walking around the room. You're discussing among yourselves about detecting magic and I don't want to do this, but hang on, I need you to do it, but no, I don't want to do it. And Elias, I think you picked up the beard, right?
Yeah.
So you've got this strange beard that you're holding in your hand that's kind of moving. It's really weird. It's really strange. It's like having an animal in your hand, but not an animal, but just the hair of an animal, but it's still moving. It's really weird. And Breaker's kind of like looking around the room, and he like crouches down by the entrance, and he stands back up. And that's all that's going on.
I think that Breaker should roll to be able to try and get that past us. I don't trust Breaker, so I've been watching.
How's about this? How's about you all roll perception, and if you beat Breaker's investigation roll, then you notice he's taken it.
Okay.
Sleight of hand.
Or passive perception.
Well, it's opposed, right? He got a 19 on his investigation.
Bastard.
Oh, you're trying sleight of hand. Okay.
No, 9. That's not going to do it.
Wait, sleight of hand or?
Well, we'll keep it as investigation if you'd like, Breaker.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah?
Because I'm not trying to like steal from them. I'm just
Yeah, exactly.
pretending to do something else.
My distrust of Breaker is quite high.
Okay, so do you want to maybe make a roll for Tanog as well, if you've got the character sheet, Dylan?
Yeah. Kelly, did you get the healing from Tanog?
I did, yes, thank you. Still looking rough, but a little bit better.
Okay, so that's basically all you see that's going on. The regular movements inside the room, you know? That's it.
Breaker stands up, pulls out his pipe out of his pocket, and looks at Elias and says, "Smoke," and walks out the room.
Are you actually lighting it up, right, Breaker?
I just pulled out my pipe
Okay.
and walking out the room. Made eye contact with Elias and said, "Smoke."
Is that code for you want to talk to me?
You know it's good.
This is one of those things that Elias and Breaker have spoken about before.
We go way back. We know the code words.
I pull out the pipe of my own and follow him out.
I look at Yuri and sort of try and signal that looks very suspicious, but I say that maybe we should head back to the door.
Hey, Derek, do you want to roll me an intelligence really quick?
Sure.
You in particular. Hang on, you've got nature, right? You've got specifically a nature skill, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, roll me nature
Or
instead.
insight is much stronger.
Whatever's better. Whatever's the highest skill you can roll.
Insight, definitely.
When Breaker takes out his pipe, because this room isn't particularly big. It's not as so. The first circular room that you were in, where you fought those weird like slimy slug things that latched onto you, that was quite a big room. This is not particularly big. It's quite a small room. So you're fairly close to each other. So when Breaker stands back up and he takes out his pipe, you basically recognize what the ingredient is within that pipe. Because of your background, so you're used to dealing with herbs and plants and what have you. So you definitely recognize, and you actually smell it ever so slightly because your senses are attuned to sort of plants and things like that. You know that what is within that pipe is something called rubrum, which is a narcotic.
I mean, it doesn't change anything for me. Kind of suspected that from the start.
That adds on to the suspicion. I mean, what kind of lowlives would be like running around the sewers?
Just to be clear, that is not what is in Elias's pipe. He's smoking good old-fashioned pipe weed from the Shire.
Okay.
Or good 2 rivers to back if you read Wheel of Time.
So,
what was that?
Rubrum, I think.
Repertum.
Yeah.
So I turn to Yuri and say, do you know what rubrum is?
Yeah. So Yuri says that yes, it's a common narcotic for the lower class, citizens of the Dominion. It's quite widespread. I wouldn't touch the stuff myself.
If you would like more information, I've got a bit of a blurb on Repertum if you'd like, more in depth.
The FAQs of narcotics. In
I
this
mean,
book.
I would kind of like to know because I'm into, I guess.
I'm into that.
Okay. So I mean, this is.
Maybe it could be a new spice for one of my brews. No.
Indeed, it might, Adair. So, within the world of Omnia, there's many sort of manual laborers, and there's lots of sort of menial work. Slavery is very common in this world as a permanent sort of social class. So, a lot of laborers and manual workers, to get through the day and get through back-breaking sort of manual labor, rely on all sorts of plants and what have you. So, this substance in particular, called rubrum, is a leafy climber that's quite easy to grow. It sort of has jagged leaf edges and blooms papery flowers from heavy hanging pods. The leaves can be ingested or its sap harvested, and can be eaten or smoked or brewed into a tea. Indeed.
Hey.
So that is what you know about this particular plant.
Can I roll for perception as well, just to check the general room if there's anything left?
Sure. Give me a roll.
While Adair's busy doing that. Breaker. Okay, you want to go for it?
No, go for it.
Breaker walks out the room holding his pipe. We wait for Elias to catch up and escorts him out and says, "Here you go." And he hands Elias the locket necklace.
Cool. Elias quickly has a look before pocketing it, and he says, "We're on the right track."
And then Breaker pulls out the rubrum and starts stuffing his pipe.
So while Elias and Breaker are busy, patting each other on the back, what exactly are you looking for there, Adair? Tell me exactly. Are you just walking around the perimeter of the room? Like, what are you doing?
I'm having a look for anything that seems out of the ordinary. Yeah, pretty much that.
Okay.
And
So
I
what,
think,
like any like loose brickwork, or just any items, anything behind the table? Like you're checking the candles, you're turning over the body, etc., right?
Yeah.
And I think
so.
Yui would be helping as well. So he's also having a look now. And I think also asking Adair if she thinks that we can trust Breaker and Elias. The US says I believe I can trust you, as we're in the same circumstances. Or what do you think of the other two?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I have a distrust for Breaker.
Yes, me too.
But we'll see how it goes. Just be cautious. And I suspect that he might be withholding information from us.
This is exactly why society hates Breaker. You guys just put him in a box.
Well, you are withholding information.
You're dodgy as fuck. Don't even lie. Your actions speak loudly.
Let's keep an eye on the big one.
Yeah.
So at this point, you've left the room, right, Breaker and Elias? You're like walking out of the room?
Yeah, Tanog is still in there though. He's just
Okay.
doing his thing.
Hi, Tanog.
Tanog, yeah, he's very quiet.
Tanog is leaning up against the wall with his arms
So
folded,
you can't tell anyone else.
monitoring the situation intently.
How long have you been standing there for? Also, dwarves get bonuses to anything hidden or anything to do with stonework. So when you're doing your searching or anything like that, yeah.
That is a good advantage.
So, Yui, you're trying the same thing, right? You're also having a look around alongside Adair, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
If you want to, you can make me a roll as well.
Sure. Investigation or?
Yeah, you can roll me investigation, yeah.
11 for you.
So Breaker and Elias, you're talking and kind of leaving the room. Breaker's, got his pipe out at this point. Tanog is leaning up against the wall, his arms folded, kind of watching wistfully and just monitoring the situation. And Adair and Yui, you're talking and you kind of start circling around the inside of this room. So you sort of examine the brickwork. You look up at the grate, which is quite high up, about 30 feet up to the surface, to the streets above. You're having a good look around, but you're not finding anything out of the ordinary. I mean, it's the usual sort of sewer brickwork. It's like covered in slick, like slime. It's pretty grim. It's pretty gross. But you don't seem to find anything that's particularly out of the ordinary.
Okay. Yui, there's nothing here. Let's get out of here. So we follow in the direction of Breaker and Lies. And kind of give a look to Tanog.
Cool. So at this point, I suppose, if you recall to the last session, there's an entrance which leads away from this room, and because you're walking away from the room, there's a corridor to your left now. If you keep going straight, you'll get back to that original circular chamber. If you turn left, you'll be back at that door, which is that large iron door with the obsidian stone slab inlaid into the wall next to this large, heavy iron door.
Do we see Elias and them?
Indeed.
Are you guys just chilling there, basically?
Having a smoke, I guess.
Yeah, leaning against the wall.
When I get high.
So are you smoking at this point?
Breaker offers his pipe to Tanog.
Tanog accepts gleefully, and you're both enjoying a good smoke on the pipe down in the sewers below the city.
Can I? Adair shows interest and asks if she could take like a very small amount of rubrum. Just like literally, like take it.
I think Breaker. Oh, you want some? You want to
Not
smoke?
the pipe. No, I'm interested in it. I might make you a brew if you're interested.
First Breaker was just staring you down, like, how the fuck dare you ask? And then you're like, brew. And he puts his hand in his pocket and hands you some rubrum.
Thanks.
So you've got leaves, right? You've just got like a leather pouch full of leaves. Is that correct?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
5 leather pouches.
Whoa. Okay.
-1.
So Breaker and not Elias, right? You're just smoking regular tobacco pipe weed, basically, right? So
Yeah.
Breaker, roll me. You get +1 hit dice and hit points, -1 dexterity and -1 intelligence. So roll me hit dice and roll me 2d4 as well.
You guys.
So you're getting +11 temporary hit points,
Wow, damn.
and then -1 dexterity and -1 intelligence.
What is the 2d4 for?
That's how long it's gonna last for. So for the next 5 hours, you sort of feel like a feeling of warmth. You know, you're standing there smoking, enjoying yourself. You know, like if anybody smoked cigarettes or whatever, you get that sort of nicotine type feeling. So you're kind of standing there, you're getting this sort of warm feeling, this sort of flushing feeling, and just, you know, it helps with the stress and anxiety of the situation that you're in now, and it helps with the nausea. So you were feeling really nauseous, kind of not in a good way before, and you're feeling a lot better now. And I'm going to make a roll too.
So can you at this point approach Elias? So I think he's less intimidating than Tanog or Breaker. Yes. So Yui says, I haven't really had a chance to thank the three of you for coming to our aid back there. We surely would be a lot worse off if the three of you weren't here. May I ask what you're doing in the sewers, and could we possibly be of any assistance? I think we should stick together if possible, at least until we get
Out.
out of here.
Yeah, I was going to suggest the same thing. I'm glad you brought it up. And yeah, I'm just glad that we could get there in time. I think we could all help each other out down here.
What made you to be here?
We are looking for a group of soldiers.
In the sewers?
I'm not sure if Elias trusts these two. Okay. Elias asks, what do you think of who's the current ruler who took over?
So you're talking about that incident, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy. So there was that incident in the city whereby senators had been assassinated, and they had appointed Mercator, the Faceless, as the dictator to get the situation under control.
Yeah. So Elias asks, what do you think of Mercator and that whole situation? And I want to do like an insight.
Adair responds that she doesn't believe in ideals. She just believes in individuals. Politicians come and go, nature stands. So pretty much indifferent to politics.
Yeah. So Yui says that I'm a citizen of the Dominion. I believe in democracy and the order of law. I don't think the Mercator has seized power in a lawful way, and I do not give him my support.
I want to. No, not Tanog. That is Elias. Okay. We're looking for a group of soldiers called the Hunters. They were a. What would they be? Like a corps within the army?
So, yeah, what you know of the Hunters, so there's the military force of the Dominion. They have legions of soldiers that are like citizen legionnaires, and within each legion there is a contingent of units known as the Hunters. They'd be really a company in terms of size and numbers, and their task is to hunt down monsters, essentially. So any incidents where the Legion is going, or in the local vicinity where a Legion is camped, or when the Legion is having downtime and there are issues with monsters that regular guards and soldiers can't deal with, these units of hunters will go out to help the citizens of the Dominion.
Yeah. So we're trying to find the Hunters. They're opposed to Mercator. And I think for the good of the Dominion, we need to find them and help them.
It sounds like our interests are aligned.
Glad to hear it. Welcome aboard.
Obviously, you've seen me wield the arcane arts, so you know I'm no longer welcomed in polite society. So I would be glad to join your group and help you locate the hunters.
Elias holds out his hand and concentrates, and there's a little like sparkle of light in his palm. And he says, I've been having some issues with magic myself.
In what regard?
I know how you feel.
Is it just like the general vibe? I mean, general views of magic against.
Yeah. So magic in this world is like not trusted. It's controlled by like an elite few. I think. Have I got that right, guys?
Yes, indeed. So magic is a closely guarded secret. In the history of this world, there was a magical cataclysm known as the Fulmination, So since then, for the last many hundreds of years, magic is kind of most people treat it with revulsion. So if you were to go into any civilized community casting spells, it would potentially have not optimal consequences.
Breaker zoned out for that whole conversation while the Repertum was kicking in, and starts to come around and focuses on yapping, and he goes, "Let's get out of here."
Sounds good.
Adair agrees.
So,
Which way?
just out of interest, quickly, what are your characters' alignments? Because that's something that I've not asked before, and I don't even actually know. So it would be good to know what your alignments are.
That's a very good question.
Breaker's chaotic neutral.
Okay.
Elias is also chaotic neutral.
So Yui is lawful neutral.
Okay.
I think Adair.
You're gonna get on great. And so Adair's just neutral. Did you say? Sorry.
just straight up. Doesn't
True
nature.
neutral.
Yeah, nature. Everything needs to be balanced.
Tanog is chaotic good.
Okay. So we've got two characters who are chaotic neutral, aka the cop out alignment. The I can do whatever the fuck I want alignment, which is fine. No judgments. So yeah, that's interesting to know. Just wanted to ask that. So
it's kind of funny that the most good character in the whole party is the orc, half orc.
the NPC, right?
What is he?
He's a half orc cleric.
No, sorry. His alignment.
Oh, chaotic good.
Ah.
I think Elias might be chaotic good.
I think he is more chaotic good.
Yeah. I'm gonna retcon that.
Sure.
I retract my
Look,
statement from earlier.
there's not going to be like it's just out of interest. Like I'm never going to alignment police at all. So it's just more out of interest as a general sort of compass for your character, right? Like there's never going to be any alignment policing, I think, in this game. But so what would you like to do next?
Elias wants to go back to that obsidian disc in the wall.
Adair agrees. And
Do you
also
think that
asks,
is Do you think that is where the hunters are hiding out?
I think so. And there's one more thing I want to try.
Okay. Yui will follow the group as well.
Adair asks whether or not you think the coin will work on the obsidian disc, maybe on the obsidian.
Yeah, I think it might.
Should we try?
Yeah.
So you're stepping up to this door. If you recall, the door is heavy iron. There's sort of horizontal bands, two large horizontal bands that run along this iron door that are riveted in place. It looks very sturdy, very heavy. And I think last time you tried to move the door. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You tried to push it.
Yeah. It was like...
Yeah. And we tried like some magic on the disc as well to see if it was like opened if you like pour a flame to it or something like that. But...
So I want to try that coin first. Like press it against the disc.
So you're taking the medallion from Breaker.
I'm first trying with that coin.
Oh, with the Scathic metal, that black metal coin.
Yeah.
Okay, so you take that coin and you're just holding it up against this obsidian sort of square that's inlaid into the stone. So you do that, you place it on. It's obviously very smooth. It's this obsidian glass which is inlaid into the wall is unusually smooth, almost as if it would be difficult to do with human hands, regular hands, basically. But nothing happens.
And then I want to try with the medallion.
So you take the medallion from Breaker and you try the same thing, and you get a similar result.
Ah, there you go. That's all my ideas then.
Can I just scratch it? before we leave.
No.
No, I know. That's not actually what my character would do. That's what Kenny wants to do.
Kelly was here. Can I just like lay my hand against it?
Try that.
Sure. You place your hand against it. Give me a perception, please, Elias.
16.
Okay, so it's not particularly high, so it's a little bit around sort of waist height. So you've got to crouch down ever so slightly to place your hand against this panel, and you can sort of, when you do so, you can sort of make out like smudges on this panel. But you place your hand against it, and nothing seems to happen.
And if I like press the smudges, are these like fingerprints?
You're unsure if they're fingerprints, but they just look like smudges, like somebody's been touching this thing.
Yeah.
We have been touching this thing.
Breaker was watching this in anticipation, and nothing happened. So everyone sees Breaker leave the room, quiet, and you hear, and he comes back with a skeletal hand, with a old hand, and puts that on the touchpad.
Okay, so yeah, that happens. While you're messing with this, you hear this crunching noise coming down the corridor, and Breaker comes back and he's jabbing the obsidian glass with his hand. And like nothing's happening.
Can Adair just look around for maybe another one? Looking for another obsidian sort of indent. Maybe because it's mirror, could be some sort of reflection.
What is your passive perception?
My passive, how do I tell?
It'll be at the bottom under your skills. So
I
it's passive
believe
wisdom perception.
It is 13.
It is
Is that
13.
correct?
Yes.
So you look around for any other sort of. It would be fairly obvious, right? If there was anything else like that inlaid into the stone around this area. So you don't see anything. It's just a single piece of obsidian glass.
Dun dun dun. Well, there was another pathway off that circular place that we started off in. So maybe we can go down there if everyone has tried enough here.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something else that we can try.
I thought the path to the south from where we entered that like drained into the river.
Oh, there was one that had light, right? That we went down, and then it was closed off.
Yeah, and then there's a small window.
So there's nothing else by this disc and the door that we can sort of tell.
There's nothing else. Can you, Dylan? Can you make me a roll for make me an intelligence for Tanok, please?
Just straight intelligence.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let's have a look. Inside.
21.
Oh wow! Did you roll a natural 20 there, or
No.
what did you roll?
No.
Because I only see the result in roll 20. I don't see what you actually rolled. 21. So as you're sort of deliberating amongst yourselves, and Brady came back with this hand and was jabbing it and then threw it down. He's got like his eyes are a bit red, and he wasn't. Let's just say he wasn't like accurate with when pressing the hand against this obsidian piece of glass. So this is all kind of going on, and Tanog walks up, and you see him look at this piece of obsidian glass, and it looks like he's trying to sketch, like he's making a symbol on this piece of obsidian glass, because he's like, you see him study it, you think he notices the smudges, and he's trying to like draw across. He's trying to do various bits and pieces on this piece of obsidian glass.
I take the medallion out and show it to Tanog, and like point to the fleur-de-lis.
Okay. So you produce a medallion and you show him and point to the symbol. So he kind of draws a C, a backward C, straight line, and then a forward-facing C.
Mm.
And you hear a click echo down the corridor.
Down the corridor, or in the direction of the door?
Well, from the door, and it just echoes all around you.
Finally.
Try the door.
So what are you doing with the door?
Try to slide it open.
Okay. So you try and slide it open, and you can. So you try one way and then the other way, and you can hear sort of like grinding on hinges. It takes a bit of effort to get this door open, but it slowly slides open on its hinges, and it opens enough that you could probably get through to the corridor that extends into the darkness.
Step back and motion to Breaker to step through.
Lead the way.
Breaker takes a step up to the door, and can you do just a quick investigation for like anything kind of sticking out?
Make a roll.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Looks fine.
He draws his greatsword and looks forward.
So tell me the order in which you're going down this corridor. So Breaker is point man. He's going first.
Correct.
I'll go second.
I think Yui might go last. He's carrying the trident, holding it sort of unsurely.
I'll go before Yui, but I think Tanog might go with his crew first.
Does Yui still have the torch?
Yeah, actually that's true. So he's got the torch in one hand and then kind of holding this big trident in his other. It doesn't look very, very good or very efficient.
Okay, so you get yourselves into marching order. Breaker's produced this polished silver two-handed sword. He's going first. The sort of light of the torch is flickering off the dank walls as you move past this iron door and into the darkness beyond. Very shortly after you walk past this door, you get to what looks like a crossed corridor, and the sound of running water sort of gets louder and louder as you get closer to this sort of crossed section of corridor. When you reach this section of corridor, essentially you've got a turning to your right. It extends about 5 feet forward and left as well, and then it just sort of drops down. You've got sort of running water coming from that right-hand corridor and just dropping down into 2 sumps through grates.
We could like perception to just smell air channels and sulfur.
Make a roll. Give me a perception roll.
Sorry, the drop was to the right?
That's right, yeah. You've reached basically a cross section. The corridor extends to the right. There's running water coming from that direction. So Breaker, you can. I mean, what is your passive perception, Breaker?
14.
So you can smell. You can definitely smell food.
This way. Which direction might I smell it from? Can Breaker walk down one direction, come back, and then walk back, and then try to gauge where it might have smelled? The smell might have come from.
It's coming from the right-hand corridor. Give me 1 second.
Sure. Dum dum dum. Well, it's like about break time there. Maybe we should take 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that could be good.
Sure. If you'd like to take a break, we can take a quick sort of 5-minute break, and then we can pick it up in 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's get back quarter past.
And we're back.
So you're standing at this right-hand turning in the sewers. There's sort of like a channel in the corridor to the right, and it runs in front of you, and the water is running down the middle of this channel. And you smelt food, Breaker. You smelled like perhaps cooking food, very, very faintly, sort of on the air.
Okay, and so Breaker wanted to pace down the corridors to find where it was coming from, and you said it was coming from the right.
Yeah, so directly in front of you, the corridor only extends to about 5 feet from this junction, and the same to the left, and then it drops down. There's sort of two sumps where this channel is running, and this is dropping off basically through a small grate, maybe like a foot by foot sort of iron grate. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably remove the grate and squeeze down there. But to your right, that's really the open corridor, and that is the direction from which the water is flowing to these grates. So you have a look to the corridor to your front and to the left, and like I said, you can look down if you want, because you've got dark vision to 30 feet, I believe.
60
feet.
60 feet, right? Okay, so you have a look down these grates, and you can see the water just dropping off and hitting, another stream, probably about 10 feet down, and that's the same. So to the front and to the left. The corridor to the right, you can see quite far up the corridor, right at the very edge of your dark vision. There's sort of like a raised ledge over which this water pours.
And that's where the food smell's coming from.
It is.
I think Breaker starts trudging that way. He goes, food.
Okay, so yeah, you guys see Breaker like sloshing through this water to the right.
All right,
I'm
follow.
gonna follow.
Yep, follow.
So as you walk down this corridor, the air seems to be slightly more fresh, and you can't see above this ledge. So if you imagine the ledge over which this water pours is probably about 10 feet high. So if you're looking down the corridor, you actually can't see above it. You just see what looks like, a waterfall, and then like the ever so slightest amount of light just on the tip of that. So you keep walking down this corridor, and yeah, you essentially get to what amounts to a ledge over which this water flows.
And it's 10 feet high. There's no ladder or anything.
There's no ladder, no.
Breaker, can you give me a boost?
Sure.
And Yui asks, "What do you plan to do?" Let me help. So Yui,
Can you all please give me perceptions really quick?
Yeah.
Oh god, you rolled it. I just saw that roll.
Yeah, the natural one.
Who did Breaker roll that?
Yeah.
What were you trying to do?
Trying to give Elias a boost.
Okay. And you got, if you want to roll your perceptions as well, please. So we
19.
21.
14 for Elias and Tanok.
So you see Breaker trying to give Elias a boost, and Yui and Adair, as this is going on, it's really difficult to hear anything because you've got the sound of rushing water directly in front of you, so it's kind of dampening out any other noise. But you think that you hear hushed talking as Breaker is boosting Elias over this sort of ledge. Breaker, as you try and do that, your left foot slips from underneath you as soon as Elias puts his weight on your hands, and you basically fall on the back of your head, and Elias falls on top of you. Elias, can you roll me acrobatics, please? And actually, both give me acrobatics.
Yeah, 23. I'm nimble.
14.
Okay, that's fine. So this could have been bad, but it wasn't so bad. Elias, you dart away like a spider monkey. Breaker, you're okay, you're fine. It's a bit embarrassing.
Can we try that again?
Before you guys attempt another round, Adair sort of moves closer and tries to get your attention and indicates that she hears whispering. Well, so other people. So move with caution.
And Yui says, before you try that again, let me help. I've got I've got a spell that can help you. And I lay my hand, or Yui lays his hand on Elias and casts guidance. So he mutters an divination incantation. And Elias, you have a d4 that you can roll and add to an ability check.
And before you continue, Adair does the same thing.
Oh, you've got that as well?
Yeah. Also, so you.
So you can add now 2d4.
2d4. So whatever.
Okay, wow.
Okay. Thank you. I will attempt to do that again.
So Breaker, at this point you're soaking wet. You're like completely soaked. You're getting up out of this rushing water, and you see Adair and Yui both walk over at the same time and put their hands on your eyes. You are slightly perturbed.
Breaker just backs away slightly.
Okay. Breaker, you and Tanog, please. Help me up.
Breaker sheepishly walks over and gives it a try.
Wait, who's lifting who?
Tanog and Breaker are gonna lift Elias.
Dylan, could you really quickly roll me a Constitution save for Tanog? I don't think that was done.
Yeah. 15.
So what exactly are you doing? You're both helping Breaker to get over this ledge.
Yeah.
Helping Elias.
Yeah, I want them to like basically put their hands together, let me like get on, and then they lift me up, and then I should be able to make it to the top of the thing and climb up.
Oh, then I think we actually give the guidance to Breaker.
Yeah, maybe
maybe
one to me and one to Breaker.
Yeah, we can do that. So I can give it to Yui. Sort of apprehensively approaches Breaker and asks if he may.
I think Adair would probably do it because she already has like a repertoire with the Repertum.
Okay. Yep.
So she goes up to Breaker tentatively and says, I offer some guidance. She first waits to see what Breaker's reaction is before she touches him.
So I think Breaker's getting in position with Tanog, and then Adair approaches and he looks like, huh? And then like his hands are locked with Tanog's to with the juice, and then you just go ahead and touch him, and he just looks at you.
I quickly say, Breaker, it's okay.
So at this point as well, so Adair and Yui, I mean, you were stripped of your equipment before being thrown into this place. Just to describe your appearances, what does Elias actually look like? What does Breaker actually look like? What are you wearing? What is your outward appearance?
So Elias is wearing what was once good quality clothing, which has seen like it's got a bit of wear and tear now. Yeah. Otherwise,
what sort of armor do you have? What sort of equipment do you have? Because I don't think we went through that, right? Your outward appearance.
Okay, yeah. So he's got studded leather armor. You can see a couple of daggers on him, and he's got this weird lantern at his side. Is that lantern always burning? That green fire one?
It burns when you wield it.
Okay.
And how about Breaker?
Breaker looks quite shabby. Very shabby, in fact. He looks like he's wearing like the remains of a like a swashbuckler's outfit, the like signature boots, but they're completely worn and rough. Sailor's pants also, but like really ragged. Like you have to look closely past all the raggedness, and overcoat kind of thing. That bare chested, wild hair, and
So I
two
just wanted
massive
to.
horns and a tail. I keep forgetting about.
Oh yeah, the tail. Yeah, we always forget about that. So it's just to describe what you're approaching at Darren Yui, so you know what it looks like as you get close to it.
It's
So what are you doing? So is Elias being boosted over this ledge, right?
Yep.
And you're getting plus 2d, you're getting plus 1d4 each, right? So if you want to make the same rolls again, give me the rolls.
Okay, strength.
I'm going to be making some rolls as well.
What is this? Acrobatics.
So I got 14, but I mean 15, but then I add 1d4.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Yui and Adair?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you actually get to choose if you add it before or after you see the roll. So it's actually quite good. But it's
that's
like a
really
one-time use.
That's really good. Okay. So you got 15 on strength.
And plus 4, so Breaker got 19 altogether.
I got 12. My acrobatics.
And Yui is casting Dark Blessing.
Oh, sorry.
Fine. Okay, so that's enough. So just to square the circle in my head, so the person who is being boosted is Elias, so you will be going over the ledge, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so Elias, as you hoist yourself up over this ledge, you're boosted up by the others, you sort of hoist yourself over this ledge, you're met with a sight. A large cistern with a high vaulted ceiling that sort of narrows to many stone pillars. There's much water stored in this place, it seems, and there's a light from a small fire that sort of flickers off the surface of the water. You can hear soft murmurs at this point, the occasional chortle and the smell of food. In the center of this cistern is a round platform. It's a pretty large room, and you see figures congregated around the fire. Weapons and armor lie all around.
how many?
Can I make out the color of the armor? Like
You
that's
can.
the
Your
green.
passive perception is what?
14.
And you've got dark vision anyway, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, you see heraldic colors of blue and green.
Cool. How many soldiers do I see?
There is a fair amount of humanoid figures. You think at least a dozen.
How far away are they?
The system is rather large. If you go over to roll 20, I can show you now.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Sorry.
So they're away in the distance.
They are away in the distance. From where you are, probably 50 feet at least.
Okay. I would like to... Is there a pillar nearby that I'd be able to tie a rope around and then drop it over the side?
Yes, absolutely. Do you have rope?
Yeah, I've got 50 feet of rope.
More than that.
So, I mean, you're just doing this overtly, right?
No, I'm going to do it stealthily.
Okay, well, make me the appropriate rolls, please.
I want to make an entrance.
Okay.
That's sucked. I got 9 stealth. And I've got plus 6 to stealth.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So you what did you get? You got a 9, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of like splashing through the water. You've got your rope out. You're trying to be stealthy, but you think you see some figures looking in your direction.
Okay, I'm just gonna just come out and be like, "Below the fire." Wait, do I know what did the hunters used to say? Wait, they didn't have like a catchphrase or something. For the green and blue.
Okay, so you're saying for the green and blue.
Yeah.
Okay, that reverberates around the cistern and echoes off the ceiling and off the water and off these pillars. And you can see them starting to come over at a fairly swift-ish pace. And the rest of you see a rope dropping down over the ledge. And you, of course, hear what Elias said.
Breaker gonna go up first.
Breaker climbs up. Does that guidance still help, or is that over?
I think it's just
I think it's a one-time
Yeah.
thing.
I imagine that to be like backseat driving. Like,
Yep.
really put you back into it.
Yeah. So you know if both you and Adair have guidance, it's just going to be like non-stop guidance.
Yep.
All the time. So it's just like a cantrip. So it's not even a spell save.
Oh,
So you
really?
do it like
that's crazy.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a perfect support spell.
yeah.
But I don't know how much Breaker can take of that.
Yeah.
Breaker climbs up the rope.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're all climbing up, right, and getting over this ledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we
So,
all...
sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was gonna ask if we should all roll strength or something.
No, it's fine. I mean, they've thrown a rope over, so it's absolutely fine. Well, Elias says. So you're all at the top of this ledge, and you can see this sort of the room open up into the cistern, and these humanoid figures are coming over. Elias and Breaker, as these figures approach you, the one at the sort of head of the pack, you recognize in the dim light. You see a face, cheerful and round, a portly man dressed in a green and a blue tunic, and a wry smile crosses his face as he sees you. "He's my friends," he says enthusiastically, holding forth an extended hand. He says, "We're in need of your aid. But first, my friends, let's have drinks." And he shouts over to one of his comrades to bring drinks, but he looks rather suspiciously at Adair and Yui. You can see him cast sort of a furtive gaze at yourselves, like very suspicious, like frown on his face, as if to say, "What is going on here?"
Adair ask what ale they have.
So he looks over at you and he pauses before he says, "And who might you be?"
Adair introduces herself. Says that I'm Evelyn Adair. I was thrown down this well, and I have just run into these other people.
And how about you? Who might you be?
Yes. So Yui looks. He's just wearing this like a white, or used to be white, Roman tunic, which is now absolutely filthy with the muck of the dungeon, and he's holding this torch and the massive trident in one hand. So he says, likewise, I was thrown down the sewer by the new order, just trying to find our way out of here.
And yeah, Elias says their enemies are our enemies.
Elias and Breaker, so clearly friends of yours, new friends, I see. Victims of our benevolent dictator. To answer your question, Ms. Adair, we've got plenty of fine ales. Perhaps not the best under the circumstances, but there's always time for a drink. He shouts over, he says, "Gunnar, bring these adventurers some of the best ale." And this other chap comes over and he's like holding bottles of ale and various bits and pieces, and they kind of usher you into the center of the cistern with his food cooking. And they're all sort of like murmuring, gathered around. Can you all roll me perception, please?
Uh, 6 from Yui.
Okay.
21 for Breaker.
16 for Alliance.
7.
So
He's just, I mean, Adair's just honed in on the ale, doesn't care about anything else.
So you've been approached by somebody familiar, Elias and Breaker.
That was Sparrows, right?
It is indeed. You recognize it to be Sparrows of the Hunters. So I suppose perhaps Adair and Yui are a bit more tense in the situation. You're getting some really weird looks, some very suspicious looks. They perhaps even some have their hands on the hilts of their weapons. Elias and Breaker, you are much more relaxed in the situation, as you know Sparrows and you've met many of the hunters before. As you're being sort of ushered over to the center of this large cistern room where the food is cooking, and the sort of the smell of a hot meal fills your nostrils, you can overhear, the various sort of murmurs and conversations going on by these various members of the hunters, and you hear people whispering about, did you hear what happened with Hillway, the village of Hillway? What happened? A terrible thing, absolutely terrible.
Is that where Breaker and I were?
You recognize the name, indeed.
The Hillway.
Would Yui know of Hillway? So he's from the west of Repertum. Was that in that area?
Well, it depends. It depends if Breaker and Elias say anything to you.
Yeah, Elias is going to speak up and say, yeah, we were there. We fought some of the brigands responsible.
So you're saying this to Yui, right? Yui, you've not heard this at this point, right? You've not, like, the only people to overhear these conversations were Breaker and Elias.
Oh, okay. I thought Yui had overheard it as well. That's why I asked. Okay.
Yeah, so I say that to the soldiers talking about it.
So what exactly are you saying?
I'm starting a conversation with them.
Yeah, Breaker and I were there. We fought some of the brigands responsible. We tracked them for a bit.
You were there at the village of Hillway?
Yeah.
What? Tell us of it. What happened?
So tell them the story. That there were a group of brigands dressed up as who are those? No.
And Yui and Adair, are you? Because I mean, you're kind of being led to the center of the cistern, right? So, Elias, this conversation's happening kind of on the side. So you're kind of breaking off from the group to go talk to these soldiers. Are you going, Yui and Adair and Breaker? Are you going with? Are you following Elias just to like mingle?
Breaker's gonna go straight to Sparrows and say, "It was thirsty work getting to you. Where's that ale?"
Yeah, Adair also follows and just is very interested in the ale and nothing else.
I think Yui would follow Elias at this point.
Okay.
And
So-
Breaker also says, "Relax. If they're spies, they'll show themselves after a few drinks."
Sparrows says to you, fair enough, mate. He starts drinking away with you. So, should we resolve the conversation with Elias and Yui? So you're telling the story, right, Elias? So
Yeah. So we arrived at the end of the battle. All the villages had been taken, the ones that hadn't been killed. And we mopped up a few of the brigands and tracked down the larger group. And I think I've still got like a piece of the material with that symbol on that I got from one of the... Yeah, those armbands. So I'm going to pull that out.
So this village of Hillway, it is indeed from the province that you are from, Yui, and it is indeed known to you, and it is known to you because you had many family members in this village. That's why you recognize the name as soon as this conversation starts.
Yeah. So Yui immediately then picks up on when Hillway is mentioned, and he's very keen for news. So he speaks up. Elias, tell me more. Is Hillway okay? What happened?
Did you know anyone there?
I have. And he sort of looks down. I have family in Hillway.
And this is hard for Elias. He puts his hand on Yui's shoulder and says, "I'm sorry, we did what we could. There were too many of them. They took everyone as slaves. Another direction that they were heading. I'm sorry, there were just too many of them.
What do you mean, everyone?
There's no one left in the village. Everyone who wasn't killed was taken."
So you sort of can't sort of understand this, and he turns away in sort of shocked silence.
So at this, the sort of soldiers' faces just kind of drop, and they're not talking anymore. They just like put their heads down, and they seem to be a bit solemn at this.
So at this point, yeah. So I take out the armband, and I say that they were dressed up as who are they called again? I can't remember that nation to the north.
So you find a symbol, correct?
Yeah. It was like the tribes to the north.
Indeed. So the symbol that you found on these brigands was the symbol of the Sharplin people.
Yeah, that's it.
Who are the people?
Sharplin?
Yeah,
people?
Sharplin.
Yeah.
And that is the people who the Dominion are currently at war with. That is the conflict that is currently raging on the frontier.
Yeah. So I want to tell the soldiers what Elias believes, that he doesn't think that it was Sharpens. He thinks that it was mercenaries dressed up as Sharpens. I believe they were mercenaries hired by Mercator.
So I think Huey might perk up at that, and he would say that does sound reasonable. That he hasn't known the Sharplins to raid and take slaves from villages. That doesn't sound like the Sharplins, maybe.
So Yui is very educated, right?
Yeah.
So you can make me, I mean, what's the 5th edition equivalent of edu? So make me perhaps a history.
Yeah. 9.
What is your intelligence?
It's 12.
So exactly what are you trying to find out? What piece of information? What's the question you're asking exactly?
So you is just sort of trying to process what Elias is saying, that it's maybe not the Sharplin, that it's potentially mercenaries. So he's trying to suss out the would Sharplin like raid and take slaves from a village, or does that sound like something? Does it make sense that would be Mercator doing that kind of activity?
So it would. You think that it would be unusual for Sharplin fighters to be this far within the Dominion. So I can show you if you have a look at Roll20. So we're in the city of Repertum, right? So if I just ping on the map there. So the village of Hillway is over to the west. I mean, it's off this map. If you just if you go a whole map to the west, that's where the frontier is. I can share a full world map, but it's very far away. The frontier where the fighting is going on. So you think it might be a little bit odd that they would be Sharplin fighters this far within the Dominion?
Yep.
That's sort of all you kind of realize.
Okay.
I want to ask Sparix if he's got a plan. What's his next move?
Breaker hands a drink to Elias.
And Elias nods his thanks.
Adair also asks the leader who he is and what their cause is, because Adair doesn't know anything about them at this point.
Okay, so let's do this one at a time. So, Elias, you're breaking off from where you were speaking to these other soldiers, and you're going to the center of the room where you see Breaker and Adair at the moment. Ale in hand. Yui, what are you doing at this time?
So I think I'm still trying to process the information. So I might be asking the soldiers for more information about what happened at Hillway. If they know anything more than what was shared, because this is like Yui's like potentially family might be in danger. So he's desperate to find out anything more.
Okay, so the symbol, just to remind you, Elias, the symbol that you found, if you have a look at Roll20 at the moment, that is the symbol that these attackers were wearing.
Yeah.
So what exactly are you trying to ask of these soldiers? So be specific, Yui. So what is the question that you're saying in character?
But I guess more of the information was from Elias, right? Because he was there and these soldiers weren't. So I think he might actually be trying to ask Elias how he knows that they weren't the Sharplin, and where they might have taken the civilians.
Yeah. It was too deliberate. They were too far inland, I think, to be Sharplin warriors. They couldn't have gone that far inland. And it was just too obvious, everyone wearing these symbols.
But you said they took slaves, so they might still be alive.
Yeah. Yeah. There weren't a lot of dead villagers. Most of them had been taken as slaves.
Which way did they go?
So Breaker and Elias tracked them down. If I remember correctly, we were like on a cliff looking down, and we could see the whole group moving. So Elias and Breaker would have seen the direction that they were heading in.
What? Didn't we see a pile of bodies at the end of a cliff? They got marched off.
What? That's not how I remember it.
That's how I remember it.
So you followed the spoor north of the village to that cliff, right?
Yeah.
And you saw at that time that there were many of the villagers that had been cast off the cliff and dashed on the rocks below.
Oh gosh.
Do you relay that information to Yui or not?
Are you by Breaker now? Speaking about it.
Yeah.
So I think he fills in the details. You say like they took the slaves and they were let off. And Breaker butts in, yeah, let off a cliff.
So Yui is he's absolutely shattered by this. It looks like the color drains out of his face. Those bastards.
Breaker hands him a drink.
So Yui shakily he takes the tankard, takes a couple of gulps.
So you this is all going on around the center of the system now, right? You basically regrouped in the center of this room. So Sparax can see this all going on, and again, he looks quite solemn at this. The sort of, the cheerfulness that was initially, expressed on his face has kind of turned to more to sternness. And did you say this in the Elias? You said all of these things within earshot of Sparrows, correct?
Yeah.
So he looks at you all and he says, "They say that senators were assassinated by the Sharpland. Something is not right here. Battalion has passed word to find out what happened. And we need to know who's behind this. We think this faceless one is just a puppet. Someone or something is pulling the strings. And already they must be seeking us out. We are known to them, and this is why we need you."
What do you need us to do?
He's sort of looking around, a little bit disappointed. Perhaps he wanted to keep drinking, but you know, the weight of the situation and the gravity of the situation is thus that he's sort of expressing himself at this time. So he looks down and he thinks for a moment, and he looks back up and says, "Our agents have said that one of the regional governors has relocated closer to Repertum. And we think this timing cannot be a coincidence."
Which governor?
The governor from Altirum.
Altirum, that's the city that we visited before.
Yeah. Wait, what happened? The governor has moved to Repertum from Altirum, or other way around?
You're asking Sparaxus?
No, just relay what he said. Sorry.
So he said that one of the regional governors relocated closer to Repertum. And he's saying that timing can't be a coincidence. Before this large incident happened in the city. And he said it was the governor from Altirum.
I knew they couldn't be trusted.
Would Huey, being sort of a citizen of the Dominion, and know more about like the relationship between Altirum and Repertum? Like this sort of regional governor moving from Altirum closer to Repertum, what does that mean?
So what province are you from again? Yui?
It was the one just west of Repertum. Sorry, I can't remember what it was called. But he's been studying in Repertum for like 6 to 8 years at this point.
Okay.
Yes, if you have bigger map here.
Yeah, I'm just literally on roll 20. I'm just dragging this out here. So this is the hand-drawn map, but you can have a look at this.
Yes,
so Yui, it's the province of Rodius, correct?
Yes, it is.
Give me a moment to just let the quality upscale. It's like really low for me. There we go. Proceed.
So you are from the province of Rolius. You are very familiar with the city of Altirum. And Elias is speaking about how they visited the city before. The city of Altirum, a long time ago, and the province of Rolius rebelled against the Dominion a very long time ago. Rolius used to be ruled by kings, which have since been deposed, and Rolius has been as a province has been incorporated into the Dominion and is very much under the influence of the Dominion. But yes, Altirum is the capital city of the province of Rolius.
So can you ask of Sparax who this regional governor is and why he thinks that he would be involved in this plot?
So he says We think that his name is Fimbria, the governor, and his entourage. Usually a governor wouldn't relocate, wouldn't move. But there's been a lot of, let's just say, toing and froing prior to Mercator the Faceless coming to power in the Dominion.
Didn't we do work for Fimbria, Laz?
Yeah, I think we did. Is he the one that tasked us with checking out that cemetery?
Cemetery, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying this all out loud, right? So you
Yeah.
there, you can hear
Yeah.
these guys talking with us.
What task did you perform for him in the cemetery?
Alterum's been having problems with undead coming back. The governor sent us to have a look in the tomb. It was an ancient king's tomb was disturbed by some slime. And we fixed it.
And wasn't there a ghost?
And a ghost. We sent word back to the Dominion reporting on what was happening. Alterum claimed it was an ongoing, but I always suspected they had something to do with it. Perhaps it's not a coincidence.
I think you might be right.
So what's the plan, Sparix? Investigate Fimbria. Maybe we can speak to him since we've worked for him before.
He takes a sip of his beer. We will be working to undermine this tyrant, this Mercator the Faceless. We will be working to turn the people against him and to foment discontent. We know, or at least we think, that Fimbria is at the fort of Grathmar. But we don't know the exact location. Our spies only followed him so far. As he says that, do you want to roll me, Yui, do you want to roll me a history, please?
Sure. 7.
Okay. So you recognize, as he says, the fort of Grathmar. You recognize the name Grathmar. You think you might have heard it somewhere in your studies before, but you don't know.
Okay.
And then, after a pause, Sparix says, "Gentlemen and lady, we are forming somewhat of a rebellion. Battalion himself has sent word to us to carry out these tasks. Will you join us? Will you join with the hunters and help us?"
And I hold up my arm to Sparix and I say, "We never left."
He returns a firm handshake.
Anything to bring down the Dominion.
Yui says, if you will help me save the people of Hillway and bring down Mercator, then you can count on me.
Wouldn't it more be, aren't they already dead?
Avenge them.
Wouldn't it be more like avenge them?
Did all of them get smashed, or was it? Sorry, I'm not sure.
Choice of words, get smashed.
Yeah,
Please.
I think Yuri still holds out hope that not all of them would have perished, so he wouldn't accept that they're all gone.
Well, I suppose the situation that Breaker and Elias were in was, I mean, there were footsteps leading away, right? There was that scene near the village, and then there was just footsteps leading away. So
yes, so I think Yuri holds out hope that there might be survivors.
So is it Fimbar?
Fimbria.
Fimbria was the name.
Fimbria. So was he suspected of being involved in bringing up the dead, raising the dead, or whatever?
He asked us to destroy the ghost. I think it was like the ghost of a old ruler or something.
But were there any sort of because I'm just trying to figure out what Adair's motivation would be to actually help out, because at this point, she doesn't believe in ideals, but if there's anything that unnatural that they're up to, she would be very keen to stop anything like that.
Well, I suppose, how long ago did you come to the city of Repertum, Adair?
Very recently.
And you were arrested and accused of being a member of the Nadra Guild.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, you want to roll me a history?
Sure. Six.
Well, at the very least, you know that the Dominion is very much counter to your ideals, without giving any details.
I guess I'll blindly go along.
At least till you get yourself.
I'll stick with you guys, at least for the ale.
So, with this, you see Sparax motioning to one of his comrades, and they bring over a roll of equipment, an equipment roll, and they roll it out on this platform before you. There's a collection of long daggers, long black daggers. If you have a look at roll 20, they look like this.
Like a stiletto.
And he also produces a number of medallions, like the medallion that you found before. And he says to you, these are the symbols that we use to identify ourselves. Move very carefully in the city above and in the provinces. They are undoubtedly trying to seek us. We don't know exactly where this fort is, where exactly Fimbria is, but we have allies in the city. Visit Grom of Grom's Antiques. He is one of our allies. He knows more. And he also produces coin purses. You can hear the sort of clinking of coin echoing throughout the cistern, and he hands you coin purses.
Fantastic.
How much gold?
So you're going to open the coin purses and count?
Yeah, or just sort of feel, is that like a substantial, or is that like a low?
I mean, it's heavy and it feels like coin. You know, sort of that size. You want to try and estimate?
Yeah.
Anywhere from, in terms of coins, anywhere from like 30 to 60.
Okay.
Adair doesn't care. She opens it up and counts.
Okay. Yeah, so there's about 50 denarii each.
Okay.
That's the silver piece.
Indeed. So just for the information of new players, the standard currency within the Dominion is known as denarii. That is essentially silver pieces. So how in Dungeons and Dragons you'd normally count things in gold pieces, everything is counted in silver pieces instead of gold. So it's the equivalent.
Oh, okay, so if we see something in like the player's handbook that's like 10 gold pieces, that's like 10 silver pieces or 10
Basically.
denarii? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. And for any prices or whatever, we've got the campaign guide, which is obviously available, but we can go over that if you make any purchases. But yes, so he hands you these coin purses, which each have 50 denarii in. And he insists once again, or he poses the question, he says, do we have a deal? Are you joining us? Will you help?
Adair nods.
Aye.
Yue takes the dagger and the medallion. Or one of them.
Do we each?
All four.
Should we have a quick break?
Sure. Do you want to take a quick 5 minutes and we can pick it up again, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. See you in 5.
Welcome back, everybody.
Awesome. So you're in the cistern, and you're having a chat with Sparrows of the Hunters. Take it away.
Can I? Adair asks where we can find Grom's shop.
So you're asking Sparrows, right?
Yes.
So Sparrows says, so if you head out to Southgate, his shop is just on the outskirts of the wall, of the Great Wall which surrounds the city. You'll find him easy enough. Grom's Antiques is the name of the store.
Southgate of?
Yeah, there's an area in the city which is called Southgate. So if you head out to Southgate, just on the outskirts of the wall. So, sorry, I'm going to drag you across to another screen on Roll20 now, and you can have a look at the map of the actual city itself. So the area of Southgate. So basically this sort of area here.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
If we find another agent, how will we know they're one of us? How do we know who we can trust?
Oh, I think Gus has frozen.
I thought he was leaving me on a long pause there. Yeah.
Oh wow! Sorry, I just lost my connection. Basically, he wants to have drinks with you. There we go. So you can stay for drinks, or it's up to you.
I don't think you heard.
Oh, you didn't hear what I said?
No. What did you say?
Here we go. Breaker asks, if we meet another agent, how will we know we can trust him?
Look for the symbols. That's how you know. But be very careful on the surface. If you show these to the wrong people, it could mean almost certain death.
How about that drink?
Of course, mate.
I'm still standing. We haven't had enough.
So he says once again, he's like, Grunner, bring us more drinks. This time bring the rum. And he's bringing over bottles of dark brown liquid, which you hope is rum. And yeah, they all start downing it, and you kind of like the mood, starts picking back up in the system among the group. They all start chatting again. They're all drinking, getting the fire stoked, getting more food ready. They're all like eating and making merry and just having a good time.
Anyone playing any dice?
There's always people playing dice. If you'd like to join in with dice games, you are more than welcome to.
Should we have a round of dice?
Yeah, Elias can't resist.
Adair's never played before. Should like to try.
Neither has Yui.
Okay, well, so you want to join in a game of dice?
Sure, why not?
Okay, well, the way that we ran the rules last time was basically dice poker, right? So, as you'd play poker, you'd have pairs, 3 of a kind, 2 pairs, etc. Right? Those are the scoring dice, and you'd have rounds of wagering. So, if that's what you'd like to play, you can join in with a game of dice with these soldiers.
Did I just roll a flush?
Let's have a look.
No.
You win.
No,
no, you rolled.
I didn't have a 3. Yeah, so I got a pair of 5s.
Okay, so you find a group of these soldiers, all right? So you find a group of these soldiers. There's two chaps playing dice. They're more than willing to take your money off you. Of course they are. They're soldiers. So the buy-in is going to be 1 denarii each, and then you will have rounds of wagering. So if you'd like to buy in for 1 denarii, you can, and whoever would like to play, please feel free.
I don't actually think Yui would play dice, so he's going to hold off. He's going to observe instead.
Yeah, actually, then again, I don't think Adair would either, if there's money going around.
Okay, so are you just casually watching and observing while Breaker and Elias kind of like force themselves into this dice game and just grab the dice and start rolling?
Yep. Pretty much.
Okay, so these soldiers are like one eyebrow raised, but they're kind of like, okay, they're just going along with it. And you all start rolling dice. You all put your denaries in. The dice are rolling. The drink is flowing. People are eating. You're kind of gathering a crowd because you guys have joined in with this dice game. So more and more of these soldiers like gathering around to like watch what's going on. And you can even see some of the soldiers like muttering to each other, like placing wagers on actually among themselves who's going to win this game. So let's go for it. Let's do a round of dice. So tell me what you got. So Breaker got 1 pair.
I've got 2 pairs.
Okay, you got 2 pairs. The first soldier, what did you get? You got one pair threes, and then. So how did we play this last time? We chose what to re-roll, correct? We chose what to keep, what to re-roll, and then have another round, as far as I recall.
Yeah.
Okay, so pick what you'd like to keep, and then pick the dice that you'd like to re-roll. If you'd like to match the bet, you can. They're all putting in another silver piece because they want to take your money off you. Clearly.
Matches.
Yeah.
Breaker's gonna re-roll his 2 and 4.
Okay. You just need to keep track. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna lose this one.
5's high.
I'm gonna re-roll my 6. Hey, full house.
Okay, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Because why not? Got to put on the appropriate theme, right? Okay, so you're all rolling dice. So what did you get? Remind me. So Breaker, you've got 2 pairs.
I've got a full house.
Okay. Well, I'm going to re-roll 5 3. So I'm going to re-roll.
I think that the audience noise is quite loud in the background.
Jeez, okay. Hang on, yeah. How's that?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, that was quite a roaring.
Things getting a little bit too merry in the system. I think that there's too much drink flowing.
Too rowdy.
And it echoed.
Okay, cool. And then I'm going to re-roll 1 2 3. So that's 1 pair, and then re-roll 3d6 again. So I've got 2 pair, 5 high, and I've got 3 of a kind as well. So tell me who wins.
Me.
Live.
You win, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I suppose at this point you take the pot, which is 4 of you, so 8 silver pieces, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So you scoop the pot. Say again.
2 of those are put in. So I got.
So you take the pot, and you can see all the other soldiers like counting coins among themselves and like handing it to each other, and like muttering, and like more drink starts flowing, and it's getting sort of more and more merry, and Sparrox is kind of like telling people like keep it down. You're meant to be hiding here.
Ask Sparrox if there's a way to get out of here that doesn't involve wading through shit.
Of course, my friend, we've got our own entrances anyway. So he motions to one of the corridors which leads off the cistern.
Adair asks if there's a meeting point for hunters other than here.
You're asking Sparrox's, right?
Yeah.
Well, he says to you, the Grom's Antiques is the place. That's our contact, and that's where we tend to meet.
Adair nods.
I think we should drink and be merry and stay here tonight if there's room for us, and then we'll get going in the morning.
Yeah, Adair would like to recover a little bit. The liquor's helping, but a bit of rest would be good.
Sure. Well, you can rest here. You can do basically essentially what amounts to a long rest, which is regaining your hit points. You can eat. You can make merry. You can relax while you're here, and then head off back to the surface tomorrow morning. Is there anything else that you'd like to do? I mean, you're resting up. You're drinking at this point, Breaker and Elias. Like, you tell me how inebriated you are at this point. And bearing in mind, Adair and Yui, you're like observing these two going at dice and like getting more and more inebriated. So you tell me.
Elias is partial to dice, but not so partial to drink. He doesn't get too out of hand.
You didn't think you could see Breaker being friendly and happy, but this is a happy place. He missions off into a dark corridor, eventually to take a piss, and falls down and passes out.
As is his habit.
Yeah, it seems to happen a lot with Breaker.
Adair asks, because at this point Adair's in like rags and doesn't have anything, and asks if there is any spare equipment or spare garments that she can borrow or
So
take.
you're asking Sparaxis, right?
Yeah. Okay,
well, Sparaxis, do you... Well, of course. What do you need from us?
Some armor or any sort of clothing would be great.
So he leads you to essentially there's like sort of a cache of equipment that's leaning up against one of the walls of the cistern. There's a mix of all sorts of things. There's like bronze breastplates, sort of Corinthian style helmets, short sort of stabbing swords, tower shields. Imagine sort of Roman legionnaire equipment. There's like a real mix of different things. So you pretty much have a pick of equipment. So you can choose various bits and pieces. It doesn't seem like they're precious about the equipment. They're happy to hand it out to anybody who's part of their cause, really. So
so druids have some restrictions on what they can wear and wield. They won't wear any armor or use shields made of metal.
Yeah. So if there's any leather or hide or
sure, absolutely,
anything.
Yeah, there's sort of kurbuli, if that's the way that you pronounce it. That sort of boiled leather, like lamella that you can wear on your torso. There's wooden shields. There's sort of small round wooden shields. So again, you've got your pick. So really, if you want a sort of small handy shield, that's there. And in terms of weaponry, what would Adair use or want?
I don't think any weapons. I already have a sword. Might be malevolent, but taking a shield.
Swords. Sorry, yeah, swords also aren't your thing.
Yeah.
If they've got like clubs or maces, quarterstaff.
I'm gonna keep it though, because I'm probably gonna see if the antique store will, if I can sell it to them.
Cool.
But I would like some armor if there is. Somebody. Oh.
Yeah, it'll be the equivalent of like leather, studded leather. So.
Cool.
Is there anything that Yui would like? Is Yui going to ask as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So he's also feeling quite exposed. So he would pick out studded leather armor, and then like a smaller shield, like a buckler type shield, and then like a regular spear as well, and he sort of straps those items to his back. Was it so that the trident, did that sort of radiate like arcane energy, or was it a regular like weapon?
When you examine these items earlier, you absolutely think that there was something different about this trident, and it was not usual.
Yeah, so he's going to hold on to the trident in that case.
Okay. So is there anything else that you would like to do this evening while you're in this cistern before heading off in the morning?
So Yui would like to talk to Sparax, and essentially ask. They heard the name Vitalian mentioned. So you'd like to inquire: is that the leader of the hunters, or is that someone who is opposed to us? Or
well, Vitalian is our patron. He was the second in command of the First Legion, and we think that his family is being held hostage, which is why he is accompanying Murgator the Faceless. But he has sent secret word to us that we need to rebel and rise up.
So he's currently allied with Murgator, but possibly is forced to do so?
We think under duress.
Then also Yui motions Sparax like a bit to the side, and he asks him what the hunters or what his men, how they feel about the arcane arts.
So you're asking that question specifically, like, how do you feel about the arcane arts?
Well,
Yeah. As society within the Dominion, as Yui understands it, is very sort of anti-magic.
Like, hey, want to do some spells?
Like a trench coat, get some spells. Well, Sparax says to you, things for
So I want to perform a ritual. Would this frighten your men, or would that be allowed?
So he thinks for a bit. Personally, I don't mind magic, but I think that my men might be slightly perturbed if you were to practice these arcane arts around them. There's plenty of quiet spaces around the system.
Okay. So Yui will thank Sparax and then find one of these spaces, and then he'll sit down on the ground, provided it's not wet. He will cross his legs, and then he will meditate and attempt to reach out to his patron.
Mm-hmm.
So he's holding out his arms, sort of in front of him like that. And if anyone were to observe this, I don't know if they are, but you can see sort of the outlines of a tome, like a book, begins to appear in front of him. So he'll spend an hour doing that to summon his essentially a tome of magic.
So is Yui attempting to commune or communicate with his otherworldly patron?
Yes. So Yui is a warlock, following the pact of the tome. So he can leverage this tome or this grimoire to cast certain spells. If Yui loses the tome, he can commune with the patron to get it back, essentially, to summon another copy of this book of spells.
Okay. So you're spending the evening doing that, and the rest of you, are you resting up?
Yeah.
So Yui, this is routine at this point for your character to commune with your otherworldly patron. So for you it's relatively routine and it goes successfully, and you're attempting to re-summon essentially your tome, right?
Yeah, my book of shadows.
Okay, so of course that will succeed, and we'll say that that's what you're doing for the evening. So by the next morning, you would have regained that. While you're resting that evening, I'm going to need to speak to Adair. So if the rest of you please mute yourselves or take your headphones off and give me a thumbs up when you've done that.
Cool, and just give us a thumbs up when we can come back.
I will. So Adair, when you are resting this evening, as you begin to go to sleep, you hear a voice in your head. Something is speaking to you, and it says your name, Adair. You and I are now joined.
Obviously, Adair gets up in quite a bit of a shock and looks around, doesn't see anything, and then questions, "Who are you?"
All will be revealed in time. You and I have a journey together. All in time. And then it goes quiet.
Adair's quite freaked out by this. Actually, no. She's quite used to communing with otherworldly
Things.
I think so, because of I actually am not too sure, but yes. she goes back to resting up.
Okay. I wonder if the others are looking at the camera. So, the evening passes without incident for most of you. You're well rested the next morning. It is the 16th day of the month of Belas. As you rise from your slumber, what would you like to do? Are you heading out to the city?
Are we all healed?
So healing, you have a certain number of hit dice, which you can spend when you take a long rest.
Mm-hmm.
Who is damaged? Is it just Adair?
I've also got spell slots and things that also need to be replenished. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, so your spell slots will all get replenished. And then your hit dice, you'll see them on your character sheet under your hit points in the middle.
I thought a long rest, you could get all the hit points back.
Yeah, it's a long rest. You're thinking of a short rest, I think.
Does a long rest do all of them?
Yeah, I think the long rest is fully healed, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll say fully healed. You rested up. You're well fed. You've had drink. You're well rested in a safe place. We can just say that you're fully healed before you head out to the city. Is there anything else that any of you would like to do prior to heading out to the surface?
Nope.
No.
So Breaker, you are feeling rough, and everybody else, Breaker looks rough.
He joins
Okay.
the team.
So.
Sorry. Would there have been like a brewer's kit or some alchemy supplies that I could have taken from the armory?
We can say that there's certainly alchemy supplies, yes.
Okay. I took some alchemy supplies.
Okay, you grabbed some alchemy supplies. Is there anything else anybody else would want before leaving? Just as a last port of call.
Yeah, I want to refill my arrows. So it's down to D10. So
okay.
It's more than up to D12.
Sure. Okay, you replenish your arrows.
Breaker nicks a bottle of something, and then heads out.
Hair of the dog. Okay, so would you like to head up to the surface?
Yeah.
Cool. So you return to the surface. Fresh air fills your lungs. The buildings in the city of Repertum are made of wide stone bricks with large decorative arches. The roofs are sort of lazily sloped and topped with terracotta tiles. Doors tend to be made of heavy wood and ornately carved. The sort of windows are large and open and panelled with glass. For decoration, walls and ceilings are often painted with ornate styles or adorned with colourful mosaics. Flowers pour from pots lining balconies, and tall, slender cypress trees line the main roads. Although outwardly beautiful, the streets seem emptier. Many windows are shuttered, many doors are closed, and people seem to move more hurriedly and tend to look down as they walk. As you rise to the surface, into the streets of Repertum, make me a perception roll, please, everybody in the party. Cool.
Natural 20 for you.
I'm sorry.
Yui, can you roll me a history as well, please? Did you also roll 20? Did you say Adair?
No, 17, but it went twice.
So 10 for history.
Guys,
Okay.
can you turn the background?
Yeah, now.
Cows are.
Like this particular section has got loads of cars. I have no idea why. Okay. So Yui, you see if you go back and have a look at roll 20, the map of the city. I think that you're all on that. the local map of the city of Repertum. So the eastern side of the city is actually raised up on a rock. It's known as the Senatory Rock. And as you sort of rise into the streets, you can see, you notice it very clearly, sort of humanoid figures doing something on the top of a high cliff, which sort of drops off into the city below. You know that this is known as the Tarpeian Rock, which is used for executions.
So I point this out to the party. I say I think something's happening, and I motion sort of discreetly motion towards the rock. That is normally where executions are done.
And you can see masked figures, silver masks, and dark red shawls cover their head and neck. And they are marching people to the top of this rock. And as you can imagine, what is happening, the nature of this rock, they're being cast off and dashed on jagged rocks below, executed by these masked guards.
I suggest we keep moving.
Very
Something's
grim,
not right in Repertum.
very grim atmosphere in the city.
Adair says, how about Barrack? And then follows Yuri further.
So I think Yui would know sort of the Senate Rock area quite well, as I would imagine sort of the academy would be in that kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's able, he'll take sort of the party not on the main roads, but sort of off into alleyways, sort of leading us towards Southgate as discreetly as possible.
So is Yui marching in marching order? He's going to be in the front, is he?
I think he would, because he knows Repertum so well. They sort of just assumes this sort of front position.
Okay. And what are the rest of the party doing?
Breaker's at the back, hunched over, because he has dark vision. I imagine that the sunlight is especially bad with the hangover. So it's just trudging along behind everybody.
And how about Elias and Adair?
Adair's quite new to the city, so she's trying to take it all in and looking around. Trying not to make eye contact with anyone specific, but just taking it all in.
So where exactly are you heading to? What are you doing?
I think we're heading to Southgate, right?
Yeah.
To Grom's
Antiques.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're trying to do, Yui, is you're trying to go through back alleys and stay away from main streets. Just stay away from any potential danger. Is that correct?
Yeah. So stay away from the masked individuals if I see any, and just sort of try to not draw attention to the group.
Okay. So the city streets are emptier than they were before, and as I said, you see people kind of furtively moving around the streets, and hurriedly moving, looking down at the ground. There's this real sort of grim atmosphere, very tense atmosphere, as you can imagine in the city. You sort of move down the alleyways, dart back and forward, vary your path through the back alleys of the city of Repertum. And before long, you get close to the south wall and south gate. It takes you a little bit of time, but you manage to relatively easily locate the store known as Grom's Antiques.
We quickly head inside.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Okay. So you head into Grom's Antiques. The interior of this store is sort of lined with all sorts of eclectic goods, various baubles, various items, all sorts of a random assortment of baubles, essentially. And you see a dwarven gentleman who is behind the counter, and he looks up as you approach. He's got a short grey beard and is dressed in a green tunic. He looks fairly well-to-do. Clearly, this individual, makes some good coin from this establishment. And as you walk in, he looks up at the party and he says, "Ah, yous lot, was expecting you. Please do come in." And he pulls the door to as you enter the antique shop.
Adair probably says that I suppose what was his name? Gosh darn. Sparks mentioned us.
I did. Got a wee little message for you. I think that perhaps we should call the session there. What do you think?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Okay. Sure, we can. Nice cliffhanger.
Awesome. So yeah, you're in Grom's Antiques. Actually, one thing you can do really quickly is I want from Elias and Breaker. Give me an intelligence roll, super quick.
16.
So you definitely recognize this individual. He looks very similar to a dwarf that you met in the city of Altirum, whose name was Gorm. You think this might be his brother, and he does seem to recognize you two in particular as you enter. But yeah, we'll leave the session there. I think that's a bit of a cliffhanger, and yeah, we can pick it up again in 2 weeks' time, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. See you again in 2 weeks.
Thanks all.
Cheers.